Welcome back to Sticks and Strings. I'm Naomi.
I'm Beth.
I'm Eve.
And we are halfway through November, and it actually feels like winter almost here. It's so nice.
It didn't earlier this week.
No, but it got nice and cold the last couple of days. Last night was really cold, and today...
yesterday was really windy.
Yeah. We went out to the farm to pick up eggs this morning, and it was so nice and like fallish. It felt so good.
The other night I had to, I was, in bed and Snug, sleeps beside me a lot of times, and I was like, he has his blanket, his little fuzzy blanket that I put over him a lot because he likes to get under. And so I was in bed and I was under my blanket, my little quilt thing, and I was like, I'm really freezing, and I was like, let me borrow your blanket.
Yeah.
Trying to get the cats to lie down on top of me.
Well, I think Beth is going first today.
I'm going to go first. So I have another finish, my July rabbit. It was like this, I guess. I don't know. I always put a thread kind of in the upper right-hand corner so that I don't get my stitches backwards or anything like that, because it's all repeated patterns or whatever, and if I accidentally turn it the wrong way, I'm making my stitches backwards. But so I finished last week. I had finished the November one, and I have July and December left. And I wasn't sure if I was going to do July right away, but I just kind of got bored with what I was doing and wanted a palette cleanser. So I worked on July, and it was almost all done. The rabbits were done. Most of the green circle around there was done. But so I worked on that, and I finished it just late last night or early this morning, depending on how you look at it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes.
So many of these, I confess, I cannot understand what I'm looking at because they're very busy because they go in a circle like that. But this is really nice.
Yeah, I really like
that.
These rabbits are nice. But so this is one of the Murano Carré things they used to carry at Hobby Lobby. 32 count Gloriana silks, and that's the pattern. Right? So now I have just the December rabbit left to do of this set of 12. I have FFO'd the first three, January, February, March, but I have, this is the only one I have left, and this is December. So I've done the rabbits, and I've done one of these little corner, it's not quite finished. There's one other color in the little berries there. I guess they're holly berries. It's a holly leaf and holly berries. So I have to do the greenery all the way around, and the berries and all that. But this is December, so this is the last one I have left to do, and it's kind of a lot to do on this one. So I don't know. I'm hoping I can finish it with all the other stuff. But this is also on, I don't know if these are the same color. It's more of this grid. They had this fabric in a gray and a taupe, this gingham pattern kind of fabric. And I know that for the rabbits, fortunately, I bought all of the colors they had of this 32 count Murano Carré, because I don't carry it anymore. But so I have like all the different shades. They had a blue, a white, a kind of rust color, mustard color, these two gingham colors. So, and
dots. Flowers.
Yeah. There's one called Fleur. Yeah, had little very faint pink. Not pink. Little dots. Spatter dots.
That was pink. But they had a tan one with little flowers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, I've used. I think I've used all of the colors at some point, one for each, and then I've used like the scraps for other things. I think so. But anyway, so I was very sad that they stopped carrying that. But anyway, so like I said, I have 1 month to go, and I will finally get those rabbits done. I've only had them for like, I don't know, 2 years or something. And then, oh, sorry, I'm making a mess here. My main WIP-GO call, one of my main WIP-GO calls, was this pattern I designed called Wayfaring Stranger, and this was one I did for my dad when he passed away a couple years ago. And so it says, I am a poor wayfaring stranger while traveling through this world below. I am just going over Jordan. I am just going over home. And I had this pattern before. I revised it a little bit just the other day. I added in the sheep because when I originally designed this, my Aunt Sylvia was still alive, my dad's youngest sister. And so like these sheep are supposed to represent like our family members, my dad's siblings and parents and my mom that had passed away. And there's my dad going over Jordan. I know it's very literal, but whatever. But so, yeah, so I didn't feel really comfortable putting a sheep here for my Aunt Sylvia because she was still alive. So I thought, well, that's kind of rude. But then she passed away since then, so I put another sheep in here. And to differentiate the female sheep, the females of my dad's family, his sisters and my mom, and my dad and his brothers, the female sheep I put just 2 little red squares like a red on it to differentiate them. So anyway, I revised it a little bit the other day. Yeah. So I'm stitching this 1 thread over 2 on this very teeny weeny fabric, and I did a lot of work on this on the grass. I have these little white empty squares or sheep holes, but I did the upper part of the words, the verse, and then down here is for the other part, I'm just going over Jordan, and then my dad's name and dates are down here. Will go down here. But actually, I was gonna put the sheep in. I thought, well, I want to, do the sheep so that I don't miscount and not leave a space for them. But then I realized that in the little notions pouch that I had for this, I had, at some point, I guess, I had pulled the threads out and I had put in threads for some other project, I guess, because because when I first looked at it, I thought, oh, all the threads are in here. And then I looked more carefully, and it's like, well, no, I don't have this, and I don't have that, and I don't have... So all the threads that were in there were for something else entirely.
They don't have any little tails.
They do.
They do. They're just very... See, there's a little black line. There's a little black stitch line. Why are their tails black?
I don't know, they just are. They're my sheep. They can have black tails if they want to. That's very cute. But yeah. So then, so I did find some of the thread colors that I was looking for. But anyway, I didn't work. I'm not working on it today because I have to have very bright light on this because it's so tiny. It's so tiny.
Let me see.
Oh. It's like, I don't know if it's 40 count or 30, something, but it's very small. And one thing that I'm doing that, I guess it was last year, Jingle Ball, that I went to one of the meet and greets with one of the designers, and I think people were asking about the use of like beeswax, because I had read once upon a time that...
And you said, that's none of your beeswax.
It's none of your beeswax. That, because I had read somewhere
it's
that...
beeswax if I use beeswax.
that there was, that I guess, what was back in the day, all the stuff that you were supposed to have as a stitcher, all your notions, you know, you need the scissors and the thread and the fabric and all that. But one of the things that you expected to have, I guess, was a waxer, some kind of beeswax. And I had always kind of wondered about that because I thought, you know, aren't you putting, you know, gunk on your thread? Aren't you? Because we try so hard. We talk about, you know, like making sure your hands are clean. You don't put any, you know, don't get anything grungy on your fabric and all that. And so I had always wondered about things like thread magic, like beeswax or whatever, thread conditioners, and so in this session talking with her, she talked about, you know, how that I guess, you know, in these old samplers and stuff that have survived, you know, for hundreds of years, that you know, a lot of those girls would use the you know, the beeswax on the threads, and so you know, she was explaining it and whatever, and I thought, well, yeah, I you know, maybe I'll use that or some, you know, experiment with that a little bit, and so I did this the last this last few days that I've been working on this. I've been using I have a little beeswax thing that from a couple of years ago, a few years ago now. Gosh, 2019. It was a long time ago. When I went to Stitch-a-Nanigans, the first Stitch-a-Nanigans, one of the things that we were all given was a little cactus, a little saguaro cactus made of beeswax, and I had never used it because, you know, and so so when I started working on this, one of the things with working on this tiny count of this fabric is that it would like kind of shred my thread. Mm-hmm. Like I could use the thread for a while, but then after a while, at one point, the thread would just bust, you know, from being pulled, the friction of being pulled through this.
Through so small a hole.
Yeah, because the hole is so small, and I'm using a very tiny needle and one thread.
And the needle eye is probably doing it too.
Yeah, well, and then yeah, you can kind of tell there's a little bit of where the needle eye is. Even though it's not really very tight, the needle eye is a little on the big side for such a tiny needle. But anyway, so you know, I think pulling it through the little tiny holes all the time, it puts a lot of stress on the thread. But with the beeswax and a little bit shorter piece of thread, I haven't had that problem the last few threads. You know,
so you learned something new.
Yes, so I did learn a new technique. I don't use it all the time, but on such a tiny count like that, it has come in handy. Anyway, so then the other thing
it would also keep it from tangling and knotting, right?
Yeah, I think it does to a degree. But the other thing I worked on was last time I was talking about this Prairie Schooler Starry Night, and I was working on this one here, the Wise Man on the Camel. And so I got a little further along. You could actually tell a little bit where the star goes right here. I'm still working on just doing black, because I think I didn't work on it. I worked on it briefly on Sunday. I got to this point because I've just now started adding a couple more lines in here. But so I worked on it on Sunday, and then on Monday I started working on this Wayfaring Stranger, and then finished up working on the July Rabbit. So I do want to finish this Starry Night. I don't think this doesn't have a specific goal. Wayfaring Stranger, I've done 4 days on that, and I want to do 3 more at least on that. And the other thing was the Bald Eagle, my Cottage Garden samplings. I had moved that to my other, 7 days on that. But again, I didn't have any of the threads. So this morning I spent some time like going through all my, because I had set aside all the threads for the cottage garden sampling patterns. So I had most of them, but I'm still missing a few that I have to, I don't know where they are. I have to look for them. But and it's, one of them is there's, you know, all of these patterns have like a couple of fancy flosses and then a whole bunch of DMC, like maybe 6 or 8 DMC colors, but like 2 fancy floss colors. So the bald eagle has a couple of them, and I know the other one is in one of my other cottage garden samplings patterns, but like I said, I've got to look for it. I've got to tear all my things apart, and I hope I still have it. It may be one of the ones that went to storage. I don't know, but yeah. So, but I did look for those threads in preparation of being able to work on it soon. So, like I said, I have 3 more days on Wayfaring Stranger, and then I'll start on Bald Eagle because I got 7 days on that. So, and I didn't work at all on the Jingle Ball stuff this week. So, that's me.
That's you?
That's me.
Okay, I'm going next. You will notice in my hands, I actually have 2 socks, and each sock only has 1 cuff. If you were here last week, you saw my 2-headed sock. So I went back.
It sounds like a hydra or something.
I know. And I made 2 more. So these are for Mary O. She won our giveaway many months ago, and I'm so far behind. But finished 1 sock, and look how cute it is. Has a little black heel, and the cuff is like blue and white, almost perfectly with a little green edge. So cute. This one, it's inside out right now. I don't want to turn it around because I'm sewing the toe shut. That's what I've been doing here on camera. You can see the bright green waist yarn here, and I'm picking up stitches on either side and doing a weaving technique that basically makes another line of knit stitches as you go along. And you see I've closed up this portion here, and this part's still open. So this is the other sock. It has, and the reason it's different in color is because it's just a giant cone of this yarn, and so where you start and stop ends up being different on each one. But this one has a blue heel, but the cuff is still kind of blue and white with a little black on it. And
it'll be inside your shoes.
It'll be inside your shoe, but yeah, no, they're, as I say, they're sisters, not twins. So, yeah, so they kind of are like this in terms of their patterning. So, Mary, your socks are almost done. I'm just sewing up the toe of this last one and then get them out to you. So I did that like a good girl. I finished the socks. I've also been trying to work gangbusters more on this, on the cowl. I think I'm at unofficially about 8.5, maybe 9 inches, depending on what day you measure it. And I need to be 10 inches wide. So I'm thinking I'm just about done with this purple section, and I think maybe another of the multicolor bump, another purple section, and then I'll be able to, I'll be at length and I'll be able to bind off. And that's good because November is waning away and I gotta get this done. So this is the simple yet effective cowl that I have been working on for a little while.
So
I'm excited
when you
to
block
see it's done.
is it going to have those large ripples, or is it going to be smaller
It'll
ripples?
be, I think it'll still, I'm not going to stretch them out. I'm going to let them, when I block it, I'm going to let them make that ridge,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to block it. I'm not going to aggressively block it because you could smash it out, but then it kind of loses.
It doesn't look as good.
Right, it loses that little ridge look to it. But hopefully with blocking, it'll kind of just even out and be good. So that's that. Then the other thing I've been working on is my cross stitch. So here's a picture of the Christmas at Hawthorne Hollow. I'll put a close up. I'm doing this small panel down here. No, this small panel down here with the birds. Here's a picture of the original panel, and then a picture of the way it was done up at the attic, which had different words. And I remapped it all, and I finished all the words. And then, and I also did one of the crowns at the bottom. See, I got the crown done.
Oh.
And then in classic fashion, I then looked up the poem. I was like, why is it different? Why did the attic change it? And in the original pattern, it says, I heard a bird sing in December, a magical thing that's sweet to remember. And why did the attic change it to in the dark of December? So I looked it up, and it's an actual poem, and the actual words are in the dark of December. But I didn't think to do that, and I remembered it incorrectly, and so when I redid it, I put in dark December. And so I had a crisis. Last week I was texting Eve and Beth and Rachel, and I'm like, I don't know what to do, because it's an actual poem, and I want to be true to that. But that would mean
So
removing. No, I didn't take it out. That would mean removing bird sing and in dark and refitting the words in here. I still might, but then after I had that crisis, and I was like, it will always bug me, because in the dark of December, a magical thing and sweet to remember is the same like rhythm, but also if you said, I heard a bird sing in dark December, a magical thing and sweet to remember, it also sounds okay.
Yeah.
So, but I'm giving this to Hannah, and she's a poet, and she appreciates poetry, so part of me is like, I should fix it. But
if it was me, I would take it out.
I know. So I might, but I think what I'm going to do actually is put the birds in, because in this pattern, the red bird that's here at the top, his tail comes into the words, even the way it was written here. So I think I may put the bird in and then make a decision about the words and change it at that time. Because I'd have to say bird sing in and the dark of for it to fit. And I don't want to they did a little superscript of that you can barely see. I don't want to do that. If I'm going to put that in, I'm going to actually put it in.
Yeah.
But so I may need to, once I put the bird in here, I may need to change it. And then I'm not going to put this line, this is where the frame is supposed to end. So part of me is like, I'll just extend it and make it bigger to fit in the dark of.
Since you're not doing the whole, doesn't have to fit.
This isn't going to be part of the whole thing.
Right.
It's just going to be standalone. So I can make it wider if I want to.
Yeah.
But I decided I'm not going to change these words until I put that bird in, because where that tail winds up hitting, see, it pokes out right at, and this is already different, this line. So I don't want to move the words until I have the bird in. So now
you already moved A, the letter A.
Yes, so I heard is over a little bit. So I already moved A. Here, I'll show you.
Yeah, but I'm looking at where the bird's tail is.
Yeah, but see, I moved it all.
Yeah.
So bird and sing are further over. See, look.
Yeah, but I mean, if you moved this, I heard a bird sing in the dark. You'd have to move it over to the right a little bit, and you could put of December on this line.
But I'd have to take December out too.
No, well, yeah.
I don't want to take December out. So the only
or you could put in the dark of and just move it over
Well,
because
she can
See,
put in
look,
the bird and then
look.
decide how to change it.
I'm gonna put the bird in, and then I don't think in is right here. I think in is a little bit further to the right than the original.
or you could put in on this side in the dark of December.
Yeah, but it would make the rest of this look weird because this is straight down the words. You know what I mean? So there would be more room over here, and maybe I could just put in something. I don't know.
Yeah. I think you could, like, if you extended this, if there left a space there, you could just put like a snowflake or something
Right,
like that.
but no matter what I do, I need to put this bird in
Yeah.
first because he sticks out way over this way, and once I know where he is, then I know how much room I have to play with. So I think I'm just going to leave it for now because the way they're done on the back, they're completely standalone.
Yeah.
I did connect them right here, but so I can pull most of that out and redo just those two lines and leave everything else the same. So that's my dilemma. And I put this crown in at the bottom down here. I think
Is that the bottom of the pen?
yeah. I put the crown in because then the branches start this direction, and then I can go up and get the birds in. See how I can reference that crown and go straight across.
Yeah.
And then start going up and get these guys all in. And once I get these birds in, then I'll know. And by then I'll either have sat with it long enough for it to not bother me while it's over there in Boston while I will never see it. Or I'll say, yeah, no, I want to change it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Hawk Run Hollow rewrote the poem, and then I can rewrite the poem. I don't know. I'll have to think about it. I'll think about it. And I would really like to consult Hannah on it. Like, do you even care? And she was like, I don't even care. And then I would have gone through all this angst for nothing. So that's my other dilemma. And I got this in the mail. I thought I'd share it. So I ordered, do you remember, I've been working on many, many moons ago around the spring. I started a cardigan, or actually it was about a year ago. I started a cardigan for Hannah for her master's graduation. Of course, it's not done because it's me. And, but it's color work. And remember, it's like, if you go back a few episodes, you can find it. It's like 4 different colors of brown and cream. And I ordered it from Knit Picks because they have a really great yarn called Palette. And they have like every color, and it's wool, and it's fingering weight, and it's really made for color work. Anyway, because I had made that big order, I got their magazine, and it was like so much fun. There's free patterns inside, I guess. I haven't even found those. And then they have like, they'll have like a pattern, like these, like all these sweaters, and they'll say this sweater starts at like the yarn for this sweater starts at like $150, whatever. And yeah, yarn cost starts at $159.92. So if you like this pattern and you want to make it, you're like, okay, I can buy that yarn for X. And then it just has like all their different yarns and look, their little, I guess this is their answer to Woobles. These little crochet creatures. And a holiday gift guide, which I thought about leaving open with some things circled in my house. Yeah, so just like all their different yarns and their tools and needles and all kinds of stuff. So this is a really fun little book that came the other day. I was like, ooh, very fun. Oh, look at this. Oh, look at that. Isn't that tempting? That's their Swish yarn. Look at those colors. Look at that.
Looks like jelly beans.
So that's really fun. And they have all their like color shifting kinds of yarns and stuff. So this is Knit Picks catalog It just came to me like a little Christmas present. So that was fun. And that is really my whole week. That's me.
Okay.
So
just
it's
a minute.
eat.
I'm doing something very difficult here.
So I used to get the, what was it? I used to get a catalog in my apartment in Little Rock because I guess the previous resident of that address used to get these catalogs, LLB.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh,
There's,
the
that's a fun catalog.
Okay, so right now I'm working on my second WIP-GO project for November. I don't have a paper copy. I do somewhere, but I don't know where. So here it is. And I did.
What pattern is it? That one? Oh, okay.
I think it's called Merry Wizards. I did Gryffindor and Slytherin, and I am working right now on Ravenclaw. Merry Ravenclaw. And when I said I'm doing something very difficult, I'm trying to figure out where I'm trying to see this white fabric on this white sparkly thread. And I cannot do the sewing method on this because the weave is very loose, plus it has those little sparkly things. I'm constantly getting it in the wrong hole, wrong place. It's easier just to do up and down.
Oh, wow.
Now, you'll be able to see it because everything is surrounded by gray, but I don't want to put in the gray until I have the white in there.
Sure.
Because I might put the gray in the wrong place.
Well, that's blinding. I don't know how
Yeah.
I'm doing that. Sparkly thread.
Why do you
and
think it's
sparkly
taking me so long to finish these 4 tiny little projects? I started this.
It doesn't call for, the original doesn't call for those sparkle threads. You just did it that way.
The original calls for white fabric. So white is white.
Yeah.
And I saw this white sparkle fabric
I
at
like the sparkly stuff.
I
You
I
love
like
sparkle.
sparkles. And it has Kreinick in it, so it's doubly sparkly. So this was a free pattern on Cross Stitching for Fun's Facebook page. I think it's still there. And the only reason I started it, what is that thing they do in May?
Mania?
Yeah, I started it, I don't know, 2 years ago, in May. I could look back and find out, but I don't care. Okay, so I'm going to talk first about my,
Total consternation.
about Stitching Mommy's temperature turtles and my inability to count.
The two constants of your year.
So, as you recall, last week, I just stuck on the tail and then I stitched up. And then yesterday, when I came to work on it, I went to put the foot in. Notice there's no foot. I thought that I had stitched this wrong, and maybe I did. I don't know. So I undid it all the way around to where I started this week, right? And put it all back in. And then when I was coming around this morning to try to fix whatever was wrong, which I will get to, I realized that the foot is in the wrong spot.
Oh no.
And in order to get it out, because you know how when you stitch something and then you stitch another thing right by it, sometimes the thread splits the other thread and you cannot pull it out.
Yeah.
I ended up pulling out some of this other one.
Oh no.
I did a lot of crying this morning. So last night I went yesterday's spot would have taken up here by the rear end, not finishing the circle, but up in here. And when I was coming up, it didn't fit. And as I said, I had already taken everything out and started again to put it in the right spot. And I'm like, why doesn't it fit? I still don't know why it doesn't fit. Because I'm looking at it going, well, that's the same. I decided that these turtles need to go in timeout. I will, it could be, I don't know. The first row has always been really hard for me. The first row around.
Yeah.
Because even though it's the same on the top and the bottom as it goes around, the day, how can I explain it? You can't really see it because some of the colors are close to the same, but it's almost worse when the color is the same. But you go up by increments, right? And then go across. Going across is several days, well, 3. And then going down, right? But see how a day is split?
Oh.
So sometimes I get lost as to what day I'm on when I'm doing this, and I have to be really careful, and I thought I was being really careful about it. And then it didn't fit. It doesn't fit. And I'm like, why doesn't it fit? And so I may have to start that whole turtle again, and just, it's a good thing I keep my
records
of the temperature. Yeah. So
go to timeout.
It's going in timeout at least until Friday. So this was my first WIP-GO project for, what is this month? November. So I discussed my issues with counting on this last week. And I didn't bother changing any of that. I said, nope, I'm going to make a working copy and mark it up where I need to do it the same. I'm not going to worry about it. So I got almost the whole tree put in, not the green, but almost the whole tree put in.
That's cute.
And my problem here is that I kept saying, maybe I could just do a little bit of the green, just a little bit of the green. I'm so sick of brown, I can't even tell you. I did put in one little white sock right here.
Cute.
Because I noticed, I said, oh, I put a little piece of thread, leftover white thread there. I'm going to use it. So, yeah. And then I folded up my fabric and I'm like, this isn't in the middle. Why isn't it in the middle?
Oh, no.
It doesn't matter.
I was going to say.
And I'm like, stop making problems where they don't exist.
Yeah.
And
unlike getting a whole poem wrong. Yeah. All this consternation. All this consternation reminds me of one day I didn't want to go to orchestra. I was at work and I was like, oh, I don't want to go to rehearsal. And my friend said, why do you do it if you don't enjoy it? And I was like, stop asking me those questions. Don't ask me that. I was like,
and I feel like I worked on something. But for the life of me, I couldn't figure out what the extra thing was. So I said, okay, this is all I'm showing. It might have been the wolf, but if it was, whatever I did, I only did like 5 stitches. Yeah. So, whatever. I did some more work.
I was going to say, how's your gingerbread?
On my gingerbread house. Not as much as I would like, because I really wanted to work on the deer,
Yeah.
I'm sad that I didn't get further, but that's life. It's not going to hurt anything. So I started on another side,
I saw
So-
somebody that was working on your gingerbread that's going to be in your class because he's working on gingerbread house.
I've had some people say that they signed up for it. We'll see if we can find them. So I did finish all the back stitch and everything on the front.
So is it done?
Mm-hmm.
So cute.
And I started the back. I'm working on lollipops.
Lollipops.
Cute.
That's so neat.
Little pieces of fluff from the turtles. So if I stitch this afternoon, it will not be on turtles.
Sick of you.
I almost brought the little crochet cat over here to work on because I was so mad. I was like, I hate cross stitching. Why do I do cross stitching? So that's me.
Once again, Rosie, was it in the movie The Music Man, where you're teaching one of the kids to say, I like music, Mom. And so Naomi and I have always said, I hate music, Mommy.
Oh, and by the way, this Ravenclaw thing, when I stopped it, I literally just have two threads left to use on it. Why did I stop?
I don't know. Yeah.
So, yeah.
But sometimes you
Anyway.
just can't look at something anymore. Okay, so that means it's time for question of the week. Last week we asked for your Thanksgiving disasters. I think we only had one disaster. So
Two.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had two. What was it that Vicky said?
There was no sugar in the pumpkin pie.
No sugar in the pie, and I've done that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only I caught it before it went in the oven, and I tried to stir some sugar. It was already in 2 pie plates, and I tried to stir it in there, and it made this like almost a brulee glaze.
That's funny.
And we ate them anyway.
Well, I have one that it's not.
Wait, tell the other.
Wait.
Oh, yeah.
Let me find the other one. Sorry, I was just looking at it. So either y'all are perfect cooks, or you're not being honest with us.
Well, it doesn't have to be.
Doesn't have to be cooking. Yeah. Okay, Mary DeLee says that a few years ago she spent Thanksgiving with 2 cousins and families, and she had a beagle, and her cousin had a beagle, and her other cousin had a poodle. And my cousin is a fabulous cook and cooked the turkey as we were eating. We all commented that the dogs were really being good. That's the first sign that something.
It's like when the toddlers don't make any noise.
Yeah.
You're like, what's going on?
After we, and not bothering us at the table, after we were finished eating, my cousin went out to the kitchen to get the pumpkin pie and coffee. We found what the dogs were up to. The pan of turkey drippings was angled on the countertop and dripping turkey grease onto the carpeted floor. The dogs were standing underneath, catching the drips. They were covered in turkey drippings.
I just picture
And
it
the
like in
carpet
Barney,
was-
when the Barney song, you know.
They were covered in turkey drippings and the carpet was a mess. Oh gosh, so I had started telling a story last week and I couldn't remember the details, but so I have started brining my turkeys in recent years, and first I did a dry brine, and then the last 2 years I did a wet brine, but you know, where it's like actually brining, and I think it was last year. Now I can't remember. I enlisted my husband's help. He's great. You know, he's not a cook, but you know, he's willing to do anything. So I was at work, and I think it was last year, because last year was my first like real full-time time. And I was at work the day before Thanksgiving, and I had asked him, I'm like, the turkey needs to come out of the brine and then just sit, and you know. So I asked him to pour the brine out of the. No. Now that I'm there, now I know what it was. It was time to put it in the brine so that on Thanksgiving Day it would be done. So I had the brine made in like these things, and it was supposed to, you know, you pour it in at a particular time so that it's brining for X many hours, da da da. That's what it was. And so I had it already made in the fridge, and I think we had put the turkey in the bag already. Well, he decided, and I love him, I'm not trying to make fun of him, but this was a disaster. He, for some reason, decided to pour the brine into the bag on the counter next to the stove, instead of in the kitchen sink. Put the tray, put the whole pan in the sink and pour it in there. And as he was pouring it, the bag started to tip and it spilled all over. Now this is super salty water, right? So it fell onto the stove, inside the oven door, in the oven. Like it was horrible. I still have little spots of burnt brine in my oven.
Well, speaking of brine, this wasn't a Thanksgiving disaster.
Don't forget I served raw turkey one year.
Yeah.
Just put that out there.
This wasn't a Thanksgiving disaster, but it was New Year's. And I used to live, when I lived in Little Rock, I would go to Albuquerque for Christmas and then go on to Phoenix for New Year's. Mm-hmm. And so Naomi was going to make
New Year's Day.
Yeah, New Year's Day dinner meal, and so I was helping out. We're making instant mashed potatoes, and so Naomi had me. I was just reading the ingredients off this box while she was making the potatoes, and I like read one thing from one column and another thing from another column.
The different servings.
Yeah. And so I was telling her how much salt to put in the mix, and I was reading the wrong list, and I said how much. So
it was the salt amount for the larger servings. So we
called them SpongeBob potatoes.
Yeah, because they tasted like the briny sea. And we tried to add more to it, remember?
Yeah.
And it didn't work.
That's why I use the package of Idaho and rather than trying to mix it from a box, because even if you use 2 or 3 packages, it'll be perfectly mixed.
Right.
Because you just add water.
Yeah.
And saying that, I like to cook the potatoes from scratch and make them the way my mom made them, although she never used a crock pot to make them. But I cook the potatoes in the crock pot because that way it doesn't spill over on the stove.
On the stove.
The things that you learn to do as when you're preparing, especially a lot of food.
Yeah.
The things that you learn to do that it never occurred to you to do before some bad thing happens.
Yeah.
Like I bought some cookie sheets that are like the restaurant size.
Mm-hmm.
I use them a lot, and they're good as cookie sheets too. But I put the pumpkin pies on that so that when they spill, because not if, when they spill as you're putting them in the oven, it doesn't spill into the oven. And
ask me how I know.
Well, the thing is that I don't know if it's my height or what. I cannot get the pies in the oven without tilting them.
Yeah. No, it's fair. It's hard because also. Hello.
The door's hot.
Hot burning oven.
Yeah.
No, I get that. That's
so.
Oh yeah, I've had pumpkin pie spilled in my oven before.
It's not fun.
That's not fun.
When our viewer was talking about the dogs licking the turkey drippings, it reminded me of a story that my aunt had told about. My uncle was the pastor of a church, and so they would go on Sunday morning and then again on Sunday evening. And this particular Sunday, my aunt had made a roast duck, and I guess for some reason they didn't eat it. I guess it was supposed to be for dinner, and it was done late or something. I don't know why, but so she had made this duck. But they had to go back to church, and so she had wrapped it like in foil and put it like, on the center of the dining table or something. And figured they'd only be gone, a certain amount of time, and then they would come back and eat the duck. And when they came home, their cat was like sitting on the floor, like looking sick. Her stomach just, And they went and found the duck on the table. And my aunt always said the foil looked like it had been peeled back by human hands, and all that was left was a carcass, the bones of the duck. The cat had eaten the entire duck.
Do you remember? I think it was Patches. One Christmas, we came home.
Chocolate kisses.
She was sick as a sick.
Her stomach was like that big.
And
Little bit.
there was a bowl of chocolate kisses. And that was my first lesson of like, cats will eat a lot of things that you don't think they will. And all the little foils were like
bits of foil
chewed, and she had eaten a bunch, and fortunately she was fine after that. But it was scary.
It was a whole package. We had just put it out because it was not Christmas yet.
It was like Christmas Eve or something.
Yeah, it was close to Christmas, but we had a full bowl of chocolate kisses.
But that same cat, Patches, when I guess I don't know, I was in college or high school, but my grandmother was living with us, and so my mom had called, in their mid-afternoon, early afternoon, before she came home from work, and had to talk with my grandmother, and my grandmother had asked her, what can I do to get dinner started to help, and so my mom said, well, there's some. I had put in the sink some hamburger, and so if you could brown the hamburger,
to thaw, right?
She had put it in the sink to thaw, yeah. And so she said, if you can take that hamburger and just start to brown it, then I'll be home and make dinner. And so I came home from school that afternoon, I guess, and my grandmother said, that she had she couldn't find the hamburger. She goes, I looked all over, I can't find it. And knowing my mother, I thought she probably thought she took it out and forgot, because she would do stuff like that. Like she'd start the coffee and had already poured the water in, and then thought she hadn't and poured more water in, and spilled or whatever. But so I thought she probably just forgot. We couldn't find it anywhere. And so, okay. So I went back to go to my room, and in the hallway, I had the door to my room closed because this cat would eat plants also. But so the door was shut. So, and it was kind of dark in the hallway, and I went back there, and at the foot of my door was a package of hamburger with a corner of it eaten out, where the cat had helped herself to. She had carried that pound of hamburger with, like probably 2 pounds, carried it all the way to my room, and sat there and munched on the corner of the package. She'd, chewed through the plastic and, eaten the corner of it out.
Oh my gosh.
Which sounds very much like something Snug would do.
Yeah.
My
So,
cat Snug.
I believe it was on Thanksgiving, but it could have been Christmas. I just remember that year we were at urgent care, one on Thanksgiving and one on Christmas. My mother was, we used to keep fancy dishes. We have a hutch over here too, underneath. And she was down there trying to get the dish for whatever she was going to put on the table for things. And I'm pretty sure it was Thanksgiving because it was nighttime, and she was making a big meal. So the Gold Six had brought their dog, and their dog was barking at my cat because, that's what happens.
Living together.
So the cat didn't want to be around the dog, and so a cat's instinct is to go as high as possible. So the cat jumped up on the dining room table, jumped up on top of that hutch where my mom was looking for the dish, and ran along the top of it to the end and knocked off a Francoma picture. And if any of you know what Francoma is, it is a ceramic that is heavy. It's thick. very beautiful. And it fell off and fell on my mom's head. and we're like, Mom, are you okay? Because we were both trying to get the animals not to kill each other. And Naomi and I were like, are you okay? Are you okay? And she had to go get stitches.
Yeah, she busted the back of her head.
Yeah.
Ay.
Yeah. I don't think the thing broke though.
No.
No, the picture didn't break.
No.
I think we still have it somewhere. Is that it? Anyway, and then what was it that happened that same year? There was another, was it a cut?
Yeah, I think it was. She sliced her hand or something.
Yeah, and it was like, there we go, back to urgent.
Oh my gosh. I think we're abusing our mom. Yeah.
But that's the thing when you're making big meals and stuff.
Things happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did serve raw turkey one time. I'm always stressing about, and I'm always with the
It
turkey.
wasn't completely raw. It was
No,
a
it was just-
little
yeah,
on the
so-
pink side.
I've
But
gotten-
she stressed about it.
Oh yeah, I was so upset. But yeah. So this week's question of the week is back to cross stitch. So we were thinking, like, we'd like to know how you stitch. Do you stitch in hoops? Do you stitch in hand like Eve? And like, I guess suddenly I have started doing. Do you use a Q-snap? What's your favorite method? Just because, yeah, I used to use hoops all the time. And when I picked this one up, I was just like, oh, maybe I like this better. So I'm just curious. We're just curious, like, what's your favorite method?
Yeah, I was watching some Flosstube video the other day, and this person, I think, had not been stitching very long, but she had watched a Flosstube, and on the Flosstube, the person was talking about stitching in hand, and I guess demonstrating it or something, or they may have picked it up at a conference. I don't know. I mean, retreat. But then she was experimenting with it. She was, I think I like it.
Yeah.
But I tried it once or twice, and I couldn't get the hang of it.
Yeah, it's just personal. Yeah. It's, it's your personality.
Well, and it also has a lot to do with where you stitch. So for me, stitching in hand is easy because of where I stitch and how I stitch. But I used to use hoops. And they're great if you're somewhere where you can't really hold the tension correct in the fabric. Or if you have a larger project, there's just no way for me to really hold the tension. Because if the tension isn't right, the stitches look all wonky. The fabric will pull and...
Yeah, because I wonder, like with this, I don't know. That's so. Did I just see a run?
Probably thought.
Oh, because it looks right there like there's a run in the
But,
fabric. I think it's just the.
I think also it matters like what type of fabric you're using.
Yeah.
Because I bought a linen that was 32 count. Beautiful fabric. I used it on one of the autumn berries that I did. I have another project I want to put on that. It's kind of a specific type of fabric because it's like almost exactly this color, but it's got a lot of grayish black modeling on top of it. And it's perfect for autumn, Halloween, that kind of thing. But
you'd have to put it.
It was fantastic to stitch on.
So,
And so that was the first time I tried linen. So I wasn't afraid to buy another linen to do with the snowman berry. It was a nightmare because the weave was so loose, and I was like, I need a hoop for this. I need to put it in something that'll hold it for me because I couldn't get a proper tension on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never used a Q-snap. I don't even know what they look like. But
they look like they look like PVC pipe.
Okay.
Little pipe things, and you can get them in different sizes, but they snap together like there's an L-shaped joint that so you could have vertical and horizontal sizes. And then they have a like a clamp that goes over, so you stretch your fabric over these little pipes, and the clamp clamps the
The
fabric
really
onto the
nice
pipe.
thing about them is that you can make it like longer and on the sides, and if you have to buy two because they come in squares, but you can arrange it however
Different
you need
sizes,
to.
yeah. I know that Hobby Lobby carries like, I guess their Artiste brand or whatever, but then Q Snap makes their own specific brand.
I see. Have you ever used one?
No.
I tried using Hobby Lobbies and I don't like it.
Yeah, I feel like it would be for me. It would be.
Would it be good for like a big project?
I don't. Well, I tried it for the snowman, and
But I think it depends on because like I guess for some people it's either more comfortable because it's bigger or it's more painful because it's
I was
bigger.
gonna say it seems like it would be heavy.
Yeah. Like for me, if I've been stitching a lot because of the hoop, I get very can get crampy in my hand from holding it. Like something like this is nice because like I'm sitting here and it's kind of resting on the table.
Yeah.
So I'm not really holding it in my hand. And a lot of times I have a couple of projects that I use a big hoop like this, but it's easier for me to use a smaller one. Like this is a nice size. I like this shape, this oval shape, because this pattern is not very big. But then because of the oval shape, I don't have to move it as much. I can just like stick it in there, and it's small and small enough to hold, and yet I can see the whole project, and I don't really have to move it. And the only reason I'm using
That's what I don't like about
I don't like having to move it.
having to move them.
I don't like when you're like coming up and you have your thread and you're just going along and you can't get it past it, and you're like, oh, I have to move the stupid thing before I can finish. And then you have to try to get the tension right again, blah blah blah, and it's like, no.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I like these. That Hobby Lobby makes these, and they're like the nerd hoops that people like so much because they have a ridge inside.
Yeah.
So
that's what I have. I had one here.
Yeah.
But because I was so much in the corner, it was so big, I didn't.
Yeah.
I decided not to use it, and then I was like, oh, I'll just do the whole thing without.
Yeah. So the nice thing I like about the Hobby Lobby ones I have is that I have like all different sizes. I have a very tiny one that's like maybe 4 inches, and then I have 6 and 8, and I have these oval ones, and so I have a whole bunch of them now. Because I used to use, I started with the wooden ones that that everybody has had, and then I've had these plastic ones that have like a lip, and that was better, but they would still lose tension. And so when I saw these that had the ridge in them and tried them, I liked them a lot because the fabric doesn't slip hardly at all. And this one I could get away with using a smaller one because these are small designs, but I just happen to have this larger hoop in there, so I'm using it. But yeah, so for me it holds because it holds the fabric taut, and all the different sizes. You can get a smaller. To me, smaller is better because the bigger hoops are heavier, larger. The only thing is that you don't have to move them as much, because you can put if you have a small design, you can put it in the middle or wherever. So, like the hoop doesn't get in the way of trying to get the needle underneath the thread or whatever, underneath the finished stitches when you're ending a thread or whatever.
Yeah.
But I like this smaller hoops also just because it's easier to deal with in terms of carrying it.
Thanks.
I think
Use your words.
I think maybe we should go ahead and go.
Yeah. I wanted to say I went to a John Williams concert last night. It was so good. It was so funny and good, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that one looked good.
If you're in Phoenix and it's Sunday morning and you're watching this, you can still go Sunday afternoon. It's called a John Williams celebration at the Phoenix Symphony. It was one of the funny parts though is, oh no, this is what you want back.
Yes.
You don't want my
I don't want your
yarn.
yarn.
Mary, your socks are done. But the conductor says, he was like reading off like just different facts about movies, and he was talking about Star Wars, and he said, Luke, Leia, blah, 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 and he says, 3CPO.
3CPO.
And nobody else heard it, I guess, but I just started cracking up. but even so, I was like, wait, what is it? It's not 3CPO, it's C3PO. Anyway, it was very funny. Look, your sock has lips. This is the waist yarn part. But no, it was good. It was really good night. Eli and I went. He came out and we went to dinner after work, and yeah, it was good. This morning I went out to get eggs, and she has new chicks. And here's a picture of them. They're so cute. They're 9 weeks old now, and I'm like, that's only 9 weeks old. They're like almost fully grown. So by January, those new chicks will be laying eggs, so we'll have a lot more. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. It was a nice drive to the farm this morning. I'm feeling like wanderlust. Like I really want to go on a trip or something.
I saw a Judge Judy episode where a guy bought some chicks, and there was a rooster included in there, and he said, well, you don't know when they're chicks whether they're male or female. And I was like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know. I never even thought about that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question I should ask. I was asking Sonia all kinds of questions about chickens and everything, because she has a rooster. And I didn't know this. But basically, all eggs could be fertilized. Just you take them out right away before they develop. And I was like, ew. I told Mark, I said, I'm going to tell you something that means you'll probably never eat another egg.
I remember
he's already freaked out by eggs in general. But
some story about a John Lennon, I guess. I don't know if it was when they came to the States or something. They were staying in some fancy hotel. And I don't know if the person, making their meal or whatever, did it because they didn't like the Beatles, because, in those days, back before everything was about youth culture, that rock and roll was, the devil's music or whatever. So I don't know if it had to do with that, with the cook people in the hotel not liking the Beatles guys, or if somebody was just careless. I don't know. But he said something about like they went to eat eggs and like it was something like a fertilized egg or something weird.
I don't know. Well, if you don't know, then
nasty. It was something, but yeah, it was like some kind of weird. Like the egg was.
Well, I guess if you just leave the eggs in the coop, they can develop, and then you wind up with a baby in your eggs. I guess
something like that. Yeah.
Mary, your socks are done. Here you go, Mary O. Here you go, Mary O. Here's your socks. They like I said, they're sisters, not twins, but ta-da. Now I was like, I better make sure you keep these separate because I have a pair of these that I made for myself. I don't want to send you my old socks. So. Thanks so much for joining us again this week. We will see you next week, which will be 1 week from Christmas.
No,
Thanksgiving.
1 week from
Please
1 week from Thanksgiving.
Please do not rush.
No, I'm sorry. It'll be 1 week from Christmas. The reason, 1 week from Thanksgiving. And the reason I said that is because I realized next week will be 1 week from our holiday pops, which is the weekend after Thanksgiving. And the reason I said Christmas was because we have we just hired a Santa to come, and he's adorable, and he made a little invite.
The community
video
orchestra
for us.
we're in is doing a Christmas thing with a Santa guy narrating.
'Twas the night before Christmas.
Yeah, and so
And when
the other night,
when
Naomi
he came
was,
in, I was like, oh my gosh, he looks like Santa. And they said, our conductor's like, imagine what he does all winter long. And it turns out he's a professional Santa. And so I was like, excuse me, sir. He said he's looking for a Santa. So I hooked him up and they hired him. And he is great. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So we'll be 1 week closer to Thanksgiving. And what?
Can I borrow your stitch markers from my festive forest
For
thing?
what? Oh, yeah. I'll get you some stitch markers. Not these. Stop it. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.